Good morning. I hope you can hear me. This morning, I wanted to share something with you that I'm currently working on, and it's to do with regrets. I know that we have all had issues or situations that we regret in life, especially being a mom. There's so many things that I regret, and I beat myself up every single day about it. I don't even know where to begin. Sometimes I look back and I think maybe I worked too much. Maybe I could have worked less. Maybe I could have spent more time at home. Maybe I could have said this at work. Maybe I could have acted this way at work. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten angry because of what someone said. Just so many different things that I regret on a daily basis. And a lot of the time, you can spend so much energy and time regretting these things, ruminating, going over them every now and then. And the worst part of it is if you're perhaps experiencing the consequences of what you perceived to be a result of what you didn't do. That's the worst place to be. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. And I would really like to hear from other people what they regret and how they deal with it, because it can be quite disabling to constantly beat yourself up about the things that you could have done differently. And the fact that you can't change them. There's so many things that you regret. Let's say, for instance, you regret being healthy when you were young, or exercising when you were young, or maybe traveling when you were younger. That's one of my regrets, that I couldn't travel when I was single and younger. You can still fix those things. You can still begin to travel as long as you're healthy and you can afford it. There's nothing that stops you from traveling, for instance. But there's certain things that you can't fix. Things that happened in the past, and as a result of those missteps or those perception of your mistakes, you think that you're experiencing the consequences at the present time. Those can be quite disabling, and that's what I struggle with a lot of the time. Sometimes someone, or maybe one of the kids or one of your siblings, might say something, and you look back and you think, how did I not see that? Maybe I could have supported them a little bit more. Maybe I could have done this and I could have done that. And these are the things that take up so much of our time. Just thinking and ruminating and wondering if we had done something differently, whether that would have changed anything. And sometimes it's kind of at the back of our minds. We don't even know what it is, or we can't pinpoint on what the situation was, but it is bothering us subconsciously. And so working on this is one of the issues that I want to work on this year. And so many things came to mind, and so many things come to mind about what I can do to change this. And one of them is just be honest with yourself, exactly what you regret. What do I regret? Let me share something with you. What I regret at the moment is the fact that I think that I worked too much when my children were younger. And I keep thinking, well, maybe if I was at home more, maybe I could have supported them. Maybe I would have been relaxed enough to respond to them differently from the way that I responded to them. And I look at that and I think about that, and that can occupy you for a very long time. I don't intend to edit this video, so I'm hopefully going to be able to deliver my message without making too many mistakes. And so I think about that and I think, oh, maybe that's why this child is doing this. Maybe that's why this one doesn't really share a lot with me. Maybe I wasn't supportive when they were younger, so that's why they don't feel that they're in a position to share their experiences with me. Those kind of stuff. But then when you think about it, you can do something about it at the moment. You can change the way that you do things. You can support them even more. You can talk about it. You can have a conversation with them about it. And that's something that I have learned to do. So many of us, especially so many of us from maybe your culture, sometimes you don't really have these honest conversations with your children. That's quite common that you don't do that. But I have found that very helpful, where I will ask them or I'll say something to prompt them, and they will actually share what they think about situations. And so, what I have learned really is there's no point dwelling in the regrets. Do something with it. If you can change things because of the things that had happened in the past, then begin to put that into action. Instead of regretting why I worked too much, I didn't spend time now. If they're not at home, call them up. Schedule a time when you can have a chat with them over the weekend. Perhaps if they're away from home or they're at college or maybe they're working, spend some time with them chatting on the phone about nothing. You'll be shocked as how this really helps you. And if you're a young mom, maybe you're at the stage where I was when I think that I didn't do the right thing. Maybe it's something for you to think about. How can I spend more time? People are talking about regretting that they work too much. How can I avoid this? So you learn from other people's regrets or mistakes. And the other thing that I feel also, or that I experienced, was that there are certain things that you can't do anything about. If you can't do anything about certain things, then seek closure. If there is a way to fix it, try and fix it. Let's say maybe you did something or you said something that you regret. You can always apologize. That's an easy fix. You can have a conversation or say, oh, I wish I helped you more when you needed this, but unfortunately I couldn't. I'm sorry that I said this to you at that time. I know that it wasn't constructive, and I do apologize. If it was a situation that you found yourself in, you can't fix, find closure. If you were a Christian, pray about it and ask God to help you get over it, or talk to other people. Sometimes I find that if you share experiences with other people, that actually helps you. My husband always wonders why I talk on the phone with my friends for a long time. Sometimes talking is a form of therapy. If they say a problem shared is a problem halved. So if you can speak to someone and that helps you solve some of these problems, why not? There's nothing wrong with talking. And the other thing is, if you regret something, think about what it is that you regret about that. Why do you regret it? Is it because you value time? You value company? Is that why you regret it? You can use that to do something else. If it's a question of, or maybe I didn't spend enough time. Yes, like I said, spend time with them now. Also find a way to achieve that purpose in other ways. If you felt that you could have helped out a little bit more at the time and you were not able to for whatever reason, you can volunteer your time. Volunteer at your local school, at your church, or where you worship. That's always useful, and that's a way of dealing with some of these issues. And the other thing that I also value is, there's a quote by Maya Angelou, and I'm going to read it because I actually put it on my laptop. And what it says is that, do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. And I have to say this to myself all the time. And I share this with a very good friend. And I think about this almost all the time, or when those feelings come. But like I said, it's a work in progress. You're not going to solve it overnight. There will be times when you think about this quote and it comforts you. And there'll be other times when you need a little bit more than this quote. And what the quote is saying is that whatever you did or whatever you ignored, whatever you didn't do, whatever your regret is or was, just remember that at that point in time, you felt that that was the best thing that you could have done. I don't know anyone who deliberately does things that are not the best. Many times we've done these things because we felt that those were the best options at the time. And unfortunately, for one reason or another, they didn't work out. And so we regret it. And then we forget that at that time, that was what we thought was the best. You know, what I do sometimes, I kind of try to remember my state of mind or the events that took place around about these times that I made these decisions. And it was always, oh, I wanted the best for my child, for instance. Oh, I wanted the best for my family. Oh, I thought that was the best thing for me to do. But now, looking back, you're regretting that. And it really doesn't make any sense, because at that time, your state of mind was that this was the best. So you can't use your current state of mind to judge the state of mind that you had at that time. You have to learn to unlearn that. And that is one thing that I say to myself all the time. And remembering how excited to make that decision at the time. And it didn't work out. Now, that doesn't mean to say that I made the wrong decision necessarily. They say hindsight is 20/20, and that was what I thought was best at the time. The other thing that I've learned from my regrets is that don't get stuck on an idea. Because I look back and I think most of the time, the decisions I made was because I had a one-track mind. I thought to myself, now, is this or nothing? Is this or nothing? So what have I learned from that? It's not this or nothing. It's this or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give yourself options. Don't just hone in on one idea. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread them out. Act wide, not deep. Don't just do one thing. Do several things, and don't go too deep. Because if it fails, then you can get yourself out. It's almost like you dig 10 holes and they're all 1 inch deep, and you put things in those holes. And if things don't work out, it's so easy to just close up the holes. It will only take you a minute or so to just fill those holes. Whereas if you dug one hole and it was, let's say 10 feet, if anything goes wrong, it's going to take you forever to close up those holes. So try and be wide and not deep. That's one thing I have learned. So I don't want this video to get too long, because there's just so many things that I would like to share. The bottom line is that we regret things every day. We regret things every day. And instead of ruminating and spending so much time regretting those things that we feel that we didn't get right, try and think about the reason why you regret those things. Remember the state of mind that you were in when you made those decisions that you now regret. What have you learned from those regrets? Can you implement them now? Can you do better now? Like Maya Angelou said, when you know better, do better. Can you do better now that you know better? That's what we need to concentrate on, and not necessarily think about the things that we didn't do, because sometimes it's just so disabling, especially if we can't fix it now. And to be honest with you, it doesn't make sense really, honestly, regretting now what you did before. It's a different time. Things have changed, and sometimes the regrets are caused by those things that have changed with time. So it really doesn't make sense to spend so much time regretting something that you're only regretting possibly because of the fact that times have changed. And we have to change with time. So if times have changed, then we need to change our thoughts too. We can't get stuck in the thoughts that we had, or we can't get stuck on things that we did before and ignore the fact that times have changed and we're regretting it because of the change in time. And, you know, sometimes it takes us time to learn things. And so what I would say to people who are younger and they still have more time than we do is to kind of not be stuck on one idea. Spread your ideas out and see if there are alternatives to that one thing that you really want. And you never know, you could be saving yourself a lot of regrets or things that you're going to regret in the future. So just to end this video, if you can really spend time to think about these things, it's going to help you a lot. If you can spend time and write these things down, it will really help you a lot. If you regretted things, can you fix it? Yes. well, go ahead and fix it in a totally different ways. I'm sorry, in a totally different way, or in totally different ways. If you can't fix it, then seek closure from maybe if you're a person of faith, or if you want to talk to people, or maybe seek therapy. Those are all ways to try and come to terms with things that you can't fix. Can you do better? By all means, do better now that you've known better. There's another quote that I want to share with you in closing, and I'm going to read this. This is from Henry David Thoreau, and this is one of the quotes on regrets. He says, "Make the most of your regrets. Never smother your sorrow, but tend and cherish it till it comes to have a separate and integral interest. To regret deeply is to live afresh." So in a nutshell, if you regret deeply, put those regrets into action. Use them to do something else. When you know better, do better. My name is IJ, and this is Sharing Lives with IJ. I hope you found this very helpful. I will see you in my next video. You take care. Have a great day. Thank you.